You are listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast brought to you by Birmingham Live. Hello, welcome back to the Claret and Blue podcast. My name is Dan Rolinson. I'm joined from the club shop, by the looks of it. I can't get any more Villa merchandise in shot. Also joined by Matt Kendrick on your sofa, Matt. Different location for you and no Villa gear in sight. What's going on?
No, I'm a fickle fan, mate. It's been two games without a win now. I'm not wearing those colours. I don't know what it is. I've not really. I don't know about. Some people might be superstitious around wearing various combinations of Villa gear and stuff like that. And if I'm at the match, I'll probably try to wear something, even if it's just a pin badge or a scarf. But from home, mate, I can't be. I can't be. I hope it doesn't make me any less of a fan, mate. But I can't. I've tried so many combinations. This is my lucky shirt. This is my lucky top, and it gets cancelled out the following week. So this is my lucky head.
Polo shirt.
So yeah.
To be fair, I wasn't actually wearing this jacket for the game. I only put it on because of this. I was wearing normal clothes before this. So does that make me fickle that I only put it on because of the podcast?
Well, I saw in the comments the other day that somebody said that your shirt looks like, have you got a small child? Because your shirt looks like really, really diddy. It looks like one of them ones that you used to put in the car, like with the suckers on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they are life-sized. I'll confirm that. Also, we talked plenty. I mean, we'll talk about the football at some point, but if you can't tell, it was 0-0, so we're filling a little bit. Remember the first one we did at my new place, and someone said about I dyed my hair. Again, it looks very black tonight, and it's been a few weeks since the last time. I've promised I don't dye it. It's all natural, but it does look dark.
Mate, it might be 0-0, but filling with your hair. Yeah, should we get to the match? Should we get to the football?
Let's talk about the match then. The football cliche book tells me to call this a game of two halves. First half, thought we were pretty good, probably the best we've been for a few weeks, well, certainly. And the second half, we kind of fall off a cliff, and I think part of that is down to Wolves were better in the second half as well. But second half was weird game.
Yeah, I wish it was a game of two calves, and the calves belonging to Jack Grealish rather than him sitting there playing on his phone with a beard mask on. But yeah, it was. I thought we were quite bright first half. I thought we tried to play it short and snappy, and seemed to be a plan. Second half, it was just. Like I say, you've got to give Wolves credit because Wolves tend to be a team of two halves anyway, and they play poorly in the first half most of their games or a lot of their games. So a bit of credit to them for getting back into it. But what was in the half time orange juice, or what was Dino's team talk? They just came back out, and it was just so flat. And I've been debating about this on Twitter with some people saying if it's hypothetical, but if Villa Park was packed to the rafters today, would the crowd have tolerated that second half? And if not, would they have roared Villa into action and raised the tempo? Or would we have moaned our heads off, made it worse, and we'd have ended up losing the game? I suppose we'll never know. But, that team, even without Grealish, again, having showed first half that they were more than capable of taking the game to Wolves, shouldn't have allowed the standards to slip so drastically in the second half.
Is a draw a fair result, do you think? I think the commentators mentioned at one point that Smith would see it as a point gained rather than two drops. I haven't heard anything of Smith, whether that's true or not. But I don't know. After that first half, to be fair, I was about to say we've had some chances there and think that maybe we should have got the win. But to be fair, Wolves had their chances as well. I think Cody's missed a sitter. Sais also had one sliced over the crossbar from about 3 yards out. So Wolves podcasts out there will be saying, we had our chances to win as well. So on reflection, a draw probably is fair. It just feels a little bit like it would have been, obviously it would have been nice to win, but Villa probably should have been 1-0 up or 2-0 up at half time.
Yeah, take the point and move on. To be honest, just had a WhatsApp message from me nephew back in the olden days. We used to get to the game with him, saying,
"Never heard of it."
Saying how we need to erect a statue of Martinez outside Villa Park because he's been the saviour again. If we're looking at positives, we're looking at probably Morgan Sanson, or Morgan Sanson as I call him because I'm from the Black Country. Morgan Sanson making what I thought was a pleasing debut, and Martinez keeping another clean sheet. Not sure was there a great deal more to be excited about outside of those two things.
Again, I don't know which game it was, but we talked at one stage. It was a good team effort, and everyone kind of did okay. I don't think anyone was poor today. I don't think Traore did a massive amount. Barkley, when he came on, didn't do a massive amount. But I'm not spending another podcast talking about Ross Barkley. I thought Watkins was decent. Target was decent. Mings decent. McGinn looked better, particularly in that first half. Anyway, so I don't think there was anything that bad there. There's a few comments in here saying that it was like a really poor game and the second half was awful, no creativity, no vision, no ideas, pathetic. I think a lot of these kind of comments are a little bit overkill. And like we said, a draw's fair, and that's a little bit too far. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah, cliche alert. I think it was a game of two halves. I don't think anybody. Listen, the defence didn't do too badly. They've kept a clean sheet, with the exception of Ross Barkley trying to claim an assist for Connor Cody. I thought Villa defended pretty well. Didn't give away too much. So I think the defence throughout the game were decent, and Martinez. I think the front 4 or 5 just didn't seem to have any urgency in the second half. Thought Watkins again. I thought Watkins did okay. First half, he was trying to make things happen. Should have taken that shot on. I think after he turned Cody inside out and tried to find Traore and then just passed it to one of their guys. But I think he's feeding on scraps a little bit at the moment, so he's having to make things for himself. He's having to spank the ball from 30 yards. But I'd have probably given most of the team 7 or 8 first half, and most of the team, or certainly with the exception of the back 5, 4 or 5s, 3 or 4s second half, because it was flat and it didn't look like a team that wanted to go and win that game.
Yeah, there's a lot of people talking about Morgan Sanson in the comments. As soon as his number came off to come off, I was thinking, oh God, it was a poor substitution. He should be staying on. And then a couple of seconds later, there's a shot of him with ice bagged onto his ankle or his knee. I can't remember. His ankle, I think. He was good, wasn't he? And now we're seeing a little bit more of him. There was a player there, but potentially injured now.
Do you know what it reminded me of? The reaction on Twitter when his number went up and when he was taken off. Do you know the Roy Hodgson gif or meme where he's kind of getting super excited? And then his head drops. It was a bit like that. People were ranting, saying, "Oh, what are you taking him off for? What are you taking him off for?" And then he's there on the bench with his with his ankle wrapped up in. Oh, that's why that's why you've taken him off. No, I think he's good. Listen, let's hope when they play again. We play on Friday night, I think, don't we, against Newcastle? So let's hope he can get rested up and get some more minutes, because he's only had kind of fits and starts, hasn't he? He's had 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. So getting an hour will do him good. And I thought during the course of that hour, he did well. I don't think any of the substitutes really did anything, did they? Barkley again was flat. Keenan Davis came on and didn't do a great deal. Jacob Ramsey came on, didn't really have much of an impact on the game. But yeah, I thought Sanson was pleasing.
Talk about injuries. Seems to be a few cropping up today. Traore's kind of twisted his knee, I think, and then carries on, comes off a little bit after. Talked about Sanson just, Mings at the end as well. Down struggling for a little bit. El Ghazi's missed out. I've heard infected toe, ingrowing toenail, sprained toe. I saw a couple of people saying as well. So something foot related for El Ghazi. Injuries are a little bit worrying, aren't they? And that squad is getting more and more depleted as the games go by.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think he's done? Do you think he's been picking his toes?
Yeah, I reckon.
Or biting his toenails?
Well, biting his toenails is disgusting. What I was about to say is, and it wasn't that, is that
athletes can do it, I mean, I couldn't get my foot anywhere near my mouth, but athletes can do it, so it might be that.
Well, what I was going to say is, when you cut your nails, which I've done mine today, and you just you cut a little bit too far down towards the skin, and it's really sore. Have you ever had that? Yeah, and you get that, not infected, but it's really sore and swells up a bit. I reckon he's been cutting his toenails, chopped off a bit too much, and it's kind of a bit funner. But I think Smith said it, you couldn't get a boot on. So I don't know, is his toe ballooned up 3 sizes?
Maybe he hasn't cut his toenails. Maybe they're massive.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he couldn't get.
That's why. Oh, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I saw people going, oh, a toe. Why is he out for that? But quite a big deal if you got a toe infection to play football.
Mate, there's no business like toe business, you know that. What we're saying, yeah, it's amazing because Traore seemed to kind of get his boots stuck, and you're thinking if he can survive that Ellen Road pitch and not get injured, and then you start getting injured on the carpet, immaculate pitch of Villa Park. But yeah, so we saw Morgan Sanson get a knock. We've seen Traore go off hurt. El Ghazi's got a bad toe, and Mings, I think, looked like he kind of done. The back. I know I'm degenerating into my nonsense now, but it was a 0-0, so just indulge us. The back of the knee, has it got a name?
I don't think so, because I think if I've ever referred to it, I've always called it the back of the knee. It must have a medical name.
I think we should call it somewhere. The knee pit. I think we should call it the knee pit.
Yeah, good. I
like that. Reckon?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. I've been laughing at a couple of comments while you're talking there. I've got a flash one up quickly before we lose it. Owen Delaney says Matt's definitely tried to buy its toenails. I mean, it's a terrible picture, but it's also funny.
I went for a walk today, just in the green open spaces of Halesoe in Romsley Way, and I could barely get my leg over the stiles. So the chances of me getting my toes anywhere near my gob ain't going to happen. I ain't going to try it. So, should we talk football?
Kind of, yeah. But I like that the comments kind of react to us, and it's like a little bit like a minute behind. So there's now people talking about toes. Someone says that when I had a bad toe, I still had to go into work, which fair enough, but probably not a professional footballer. And then someone else says that a toe injury stopped David Hay winning the heavyweight title, which, yeah, I remember that when he was like, oh, my toe hurt, and that's what I lost. So semi-sport related. Football, back to football, and talking about injuries. One that I don't understand with Grealish, and we said it weeks ago, didn't we? Or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, when he's like, oh, maybe he'll be back for this. He should be back for then, should be back for this. And we're thinking, it's going to be weeks or months, isn't it, before we see him again. It was like, he could be back here, could be back there. We've heard it all before. Then the commentators make several references to it today about him running pain-free and running on an anti-gravity treadmill and all this kind of stuff. What I don't understand is, and I'm not a doctor, is when they say if Jack Grealish is running pain-free and he had an injury before that was causing him pain, surely he's not injured now if he's pain-free. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but he's running pain-free. There's a difference between running up and down a field than there is to being able to kind of twist and turn and to take impact off players who are supreme athletes who can bite their toes and who can run at 100 miles an hour. It's quite quite a stretch. I mean, I suppose they could do that. They could just get Jack and Grealish running up and down the touchline and get 5 people to mark him. You don't need to touch the ball; it'll free up the rest. But I think there's a little bit more to professional football than just running. If you don't mind me being my usual sarcastic self, and putting you in your place.
I'm just still reading stupid comments about your toes, and someone says I can picture you getting stuck up Lizos over a fence, which good for people that know the area will understand that.
It is the only time you'll ever hear me mention the word style, by the
way. Back to football, please. Another clean sheet for Emi Martinez and the defence as well. I think that's 14 now, if memory's right. One little positive to take, and great save for the one at the end. I think it's the thumbnail for the YouTube video when this goes out. The one from
not the toenail.
It was. No, not the toenail. It was a great save, though, great reaction save. And somebody asked before we started streaming, comments were coming through, and they're saying if it wasn't for Martinez, we'd be relegated. Is that fair? Because he's saved us a lot of points this season. I think it's probably a bit too extreme to say we'd be relegated, but we'd certainly be down struggling in the bottom 6 if it wasn't for Emi Martinez.
Yeah, I'll take the points. He's been a kind of, not a lifesaver, he's been a point saver during the course of the season. But I could say if it wasn't for Ollie Watkins, we'd have less points. If it wasn't for Jack Grealish, we've got less points. It's a team thing. He's been brilliant, and I think on the commentary they were saying the good thing that you'll hear is every time you hear the commentary on matches now, they'll always praise the recruitment, saying about that kind of clutch of players that Villa have brought in. And there's an argument. There's a very, very strong argument that he is the best of the summer signings.
Yeah.
To be honest, because what game was it a couple of weeks ago where he was? Was there a game? What was the game where? Oh, it was Thingy, wasn't it? It was Lingard coming with West Ham, where he looked like he kind of got chocolate wrists, Martinez, and he let a couple of flaky ones in. with the exception of that evening, and I think he came out and kind of held his hands up and said it wasn't good enough, and there were stories that he was kind of getting the defenders in for extra training that week. With the exception of that game, I can't think of a single occasion where he's let Villa down really. So would Villa have been relegated without him? No, I don't think so, because they'd have had a goalkeeper who would have come in and probably been a 9 out of 10 goalkeeper if it was Tom Heaton, rather than a 9.5 out of 10 goalkeeper if it was Emi Martinez. But he has been brilliant, and without wishing to jinx it, I can't see him not going on and beating this kind of record of Brad Friedel's in terms of clean sheets. And I hope he does, and I hope he ends the season with the most clean sheets in the Premier League as well, and gets the Golden Glove.
There's people in the comments now talking about the back of the knee and its medical term, and apparently it's the popliteal fossa, also known as the knee pit.
Is it the knee pit?
That's what's Paul Parker. So this is all on Paul Parker, but I don't know the Paul Parker is a doctor. Dr. Parker. He says medical term is the popliteal fossa, also known as the knee pit. So you learn something new every day on the Claret and Blue podcast.
Well, you do. My kids always kind of call our knees leg elbows, and our elbows, what's the opposite of that? Our arm knees. But I didn't realise it was a fossa to possa to poo poo, whatever it was called. So I'll bore them with that. I'll bore them with that fact next time they're helping their old man over a stile in Lutos Park. Anyway,
let's talk about strikers. Oh, Paul Parker's a paramedic. Interesting. Okay, great. Oh, I love this. I like doing these live. It makes it all the more different. Someone's also said also been laughing all the way through, and it's made me forget about the game. Which, to be fair, who cares about the football anyway? It's just a draw, isn't it? Yeah, it's 0-0. Move on. Talk about strikers. Everyone said in January we needed another one. I think Dean Smith's even said that we need a striker in the summer. Have I seen that as a real quote, or was that not him? Saying like not a replacement for Ollie Watkins, but somebody to supplement him. That might not even have been Dean Smith, and I'm talking absolute rubbish, but I'm sure I've seen that somewhere. But if it's Smith or not, we do need another striker. People would have argued that we needed one in January, and maybe that would have been the difference between us finishing 10th this year and pushing on to Europe or whatever.
Did Dean Smith really say that, or you just?
I don't know.
People?
I don't know.
I heard Tom Hanks saying, "If you listen to anything this weekend, listen to the Claret and Blue post-match podcast."
Yeah, I'm
sure it was Tom. But strikers, yeah, of course we do.
You bring on Keenan Davis, and you need a goal, and he's not going to get one, is he? And I'm not being harsh on him, but that's fair, isn't it? He doesn't score goals.
Listen, we definitely need another striker. Don't we? We need to see what Wesley comes back with. You know how fit and sharp he is. But what are you giggling at now?
The comments are great. 2 people. Is it 2 people? No, one person has made the joke. I thought there's 2. There's 2 jokes. Mark says, didn't Martinelli or someone property or fusser? And Leighton Castle also says, just switched on and heard you talking about him we've been linked with. Is he any good? It's just, it made me laugh. Thanks everyone for this. Back to Keenan Davis. I'm just going to go off screen for a bit because I need to compose myself.
Don't leave it on me. What am I supposed to fill with now? Asking me?
Just talk about Keenan Davis. Is he good enough?
I'm all on my own now, aren't I? Is there anybody still watching? Keenan Davis, he's good enough to be a player off the bench, but probably if you're already 3-0 up and you want to keep the ball at the top end of the pitch and not invite any pressure, if you're going to invite him, bring him onto the pitch and expect him to be the one who scores the goal that wins you the game, then we don't think that is, it's certainly in his experience so far, that doesn't happen very often, if at all. So we definitely need another striker. I think we probably need a different type of striker as well. I'm probably living in the past again now. Surprise. But you kind of, although Watkins can do a bit of everything, the alternatives to him are these kind of big, strong, kind of hold-up strikers in terms of, Keenan Davis and Wesley to a degree. I remember the strike partnerships back in the day when you got kind of Dean Saunders, this kind of quick, busy player around the edge of the box who was a perfect foil for the big striker in Daly and Atkinson. And you probably similarly when you got Benteke and his pomp and you got kind of O'Bonnell and Vyman kind of around them. And could go on with several examples. Dwight York with a little bit more finesse and kind of delicate play and vision around Savo and stuff like that. So I'd like us to see, and I'm not sure this would be the guy, and he's not quite had the impact in terms of goals that we thought, but a kind of Mopay figure around Watkins or around whoever Villa start with. But it ain't happening yet, is it? The transfer window's not open again until the summer. So we go with what we've got, don't we?
What's that bleeping? Is that at your house? The smoke alarm?
Probably the oven. It's probably me chicken burgers. Being done, but hopefully somebody. I think my wife's in there actually.
Talking of food quickly before we go back to the football. How were your pork chops last week?
They were all right. I like them when they've got a bit of fat on, but the fat is properly cooked. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like crispy,
crispy kind of sizzly fat.
To be fair, technically, a pork chop is basically just really thick bacon, isn't it? Especially if the fat's crispy. I like bacon, so I should like pork, but I don't. So anyway, talking about Keenan Davis and the strike situation, is there a chance that Louis Barry offers more than Davis off the bench for 5 minutes in games? Or am I getting ahead of myself?
He'd offer something different, wouldn't he? And I remember when we spoke to it was Gareth Barry, wasn't it? I think we spoke to saying that he'd like to see Louis Barry. I think he's just trying to get more Barrys, up and around the world. But yeah, it'd be nice. But Dean Smith's no mug, is he? If Louis Barry was the one who was pushing more than anybody to get on the to get on the bench, then he put him on there. He put a couple of kids on. I can't remember the name. How you pronounce the lad?
Philogene Bedice.
Is that the back of the knee? He's put him on the bench today, hasn't he? And Kane Kessler's been on the bench in recent weeks. So Dean Smith won't hesitate to put these kids in. But if he doesn't think Louis Barry's exactly ready for it, he won't put Louis Barry in. So I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him get 10 or 15 minutes of first team action between now and the end of the season. But
do you think that's more likely to happen if Villa know that they're not going to get into Europe and 40 points now, so not going to be relegated? If they know they're probably going to finish somewhere between 9th and 13th, is that a time to start blooding youngsters, or is that a cliche as well?
No, it probably is the time, because you can experiment with the kids without it undermining what you're doing in the first team. But B, it kind of gives that core of players a rest, doesn't it? Towards the end of the season, did he? I was half listening to the commentary. Was it Ollie Watkins who played every minute of every game? I know the commentator said somebody had done that.
Yeah, I think it was him and Jack until he got injured, I think. Yeah,
so he's going to need some respite at some stage. So, but again, it's options, isn't it? He wants to leave Ollie Watkins at the top of the pitch for as long as possible, because who else, when Jack Grealish is on there, he's going to conjure up a goal. The options are limited, aren't they?
Talk about Watkins quickly in a second. There's a comment that you might have a stupid answer to, because this is a stupid podcast at this point. Frank Delaney says, if Keenan Davis is the answer, what is the question?
What does, is it spelled wrong there, isn't it? What does Keinan spacebar Davis spell?
The answer is Keenan Davis. Correct. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah. Stupid answer.
Right. Just got to work backwards, ain't you?
Yeah, good. In terms of Ollie Watkins, the problem with him, and it's not the problem with him, so to speak, it's the problem with the rest of the squad, actually, is when he's drifting out wide, which he often does, and he closes people down, he's chasing lost balls and lost causes, there's no one running into the box to kind of come and support him. And I don't know whether that's that you need another striker to play up with him, because I don't see us playing two up top at any point for a full 90 minutes or prolonged period of the season. I don't see that happening. Then you'd expect one of the midfielders to jump in there as well, and that doesn't usually happen either. So surely there's at some point you've got to recognise that if Ollie Watkins is down by the corner flag chasing a lost ball, other players have got to burst into the box. And that's not an Ollie Watkins problem, that's a problem for the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, and I know he's got a bad toe, but to be fair, that's what El Ghazi and Traore have done quite well, to be honest, this season. They've gambled, haven't they? They've been in around the back post. That's how I know it came from a half cleared corner. That's how El Ghazi got his goal last week. You're right. It's there's so many times where whether it's from corners or whether it's from delivery from open play, the ball just doesn't seem to be going in dangerous enough areas. It seems to be kind of food and drink for the defenders to clear. But you're right. If Watkins is working those channels, who's the one who's gambling, getting forward? Who's the one who's in the box? So when Watkins has gone and won the ball and held it up and fed it back to his fullbacks on either side to whip it in, who are we looking for? Who are we aiming for in that box? I'm not sure.
So I take the point about Traoré and El Ghazi being there, but that's because they're the other side of the pitch, so the balls come through and they're just there. I expect someone from midfield to be running deep as well, whether that's McGinn or Barkley or Sanson, whoever it is. Someone else needs to come pushing in, don't they, as well? It's enough to say that El Ghazi's there, but that's because he's already on that side of the pitch anyway. It needs just more bodies in the box. There seems to be a lack of urgency at times, and that's up to the midfield to help out, I think.
Yes.
Good. Someone said that Brighton have scored. I don't know why people are telling us that, because they're not playing anyone that's irrelevant to us, I don't think. They're playing Leicester, aren't they?
Yeah.
Brighton have scored, apparently, so cool. Talking about Ollie Watkins very quickly, this is probably a stupid point. I told you this off air, so if it's a stupid point, I'm kind of letting you have the quality control here that you should have told me it was a stupid point before saying it on air to 300 people plus. Ollie Watkins, I said at one point about him having, I think it's 7 attempts hit the woodwork, which is on target in the Premier League this season.
Off target.
But I got a minute. We'll come back to that. And it's the most in the league, I think. Now I look at that and at first I think, oh, how unlucky is that? How unlucky that you've hit the woodwork more so than anyone else. And then my stupid little brain starts thinking, is it bad luck or is that a finishing problem? So I don't think Ollie Watkins is a bad finisher, but is he finishing just off target? Do you know what I mean? It's on target, but just off target that he's not scoring and not putting them miles wide and he's just hitting the post, or am I really overthinking what is pretty a pointless stat anyway?
I thought I told you that it was a stupid point that you were making before the game.
No, you didn't tell me that. You said it was 0-0. We might as well talk about it anyway.
Fair enough. Regular listeners and viewers of the show will know that if you hit the woodwork, it is off target. Okay? It is not on target. The target is the bit between the rectangle between those wooden metal postings.
Yeah,
so,
wooden metal.
Ollie Watkins a poor finisher because he is hitting something a millimetre or half centimetre away from where he should be? I think if he's on the goal line and he hits the crossbar, if he's Romain Saiss and he hits the crossbar or hits Witton train station or whatever, you can't. It's not poor finishing if you're spanking one from 30 yards and it's hitting the bar. Admittedly, it'd have been better if it had flown in the top corner. I thought his header. Was it the header in midweek, Sheffield United? The kind of looping header that hit the bar.
Yeah.
I don't think that was poor finish in particular. I thought he engineered that chat, that moment himself. So I don't think so. I don't think you can be too harsh on him. Like I say, he's having to kind of feed on scraps a little bit and trying to create his own openings. At the moment, the one thing that you would criticise him for is having turned. Have we already said this? Having turned Conor Cody inside out in the first half, he shouldn't really have tried to pick out Traoré. He should have tried to get a shot away. But I think Ollie Watkins was the brightest of the forward players today. I think so. I wouldn't want to be overly critical of him.
No, I agree. I don't think it's poor finishing either. I was just trying to give an alternative angle to what I still think is a pointless stat. Him hitting the woodwork 7 times this season is kind of relevant. And also, if you count it as off target, which you do, you might as well be going, a shot that didn't hit the woodwork but was just past the woodwork was also off target, so that you wouldn't count that either. So why do you count it in the first place? Leighton says, Dan, is Matt being distracted by the whiff of pork chops or chicken burgers, as we know, that are currently burning away because you keep looking off to the left? What's over there, mate?
That way or that way?
Well, I don't know. That's your left. Yeah,
that's my left. I've not got. It's chicken burgers. Chicken burgers tonight, Leighton. Actually, seeing put Leighton's picture back up again. This has reminded me. I thought if it's a crap game today, I need an alternative debate to start that's nothing to do with football and it's not food related this week. So seeing Leighton there in the bath, I think he's in the bath.
Is that a real picture? I thought it was a Photoshop.
I'm not sure.
I think it is real.
The thing I wanted to ask you is...
Can I get rid of it now?
Yeah, you can go now. Shower before bed or in the morning or both. But if it's one or the other, which one do you choose?
I was going to say is an option both because I do like both. I would say it is a real picture, by the way, later. And I don't know why his picture's him in the bath. That's inappropriate for Facebook, isn't it? I'm trying to lecture this guy who's clearly older than me, can make his own decisions. Shower before bed if I could only pick one, because it helps me relax and puts me to sleep more.
Yeah, but don't you feel like grubby in the morning?
No, because my bed's clean.
Yeah, but don't you? To me,
don't you feel grubby at night?
Say again. I don't mind being grubby in bed.
You're grubby all the time.
Don't clip that bit, for God's sake.
No context, kendo back in action.
I think if I go and play five-a-side or something, in the olden days, on the night time, I'd obviously have a shower before bed, but I'd still have to have the shower in the morning.
Do you have a shower every morning?
Yeah. I can't get through my day. I think it's because I'm so sweaty and hairy, Dan.
Sweaty, yes, not hairy. Not in your
to
head,
me,
anyway.
if you're going to do something before bedtime, you'd have your bath. I mean, I had a bath since I was about 8 years old.
Yeah, same. Was it in a tin can?
It was, mate, yeah.
In front of the fire?
Yeah, it was. No, it was in the canal. Is anybody left listening? Because I'd really like to know what people think about it.
No, there's more viewers now than there's been throughout the whole thing. People are saying,
time to have your shower?
So, people are saying, Raphael says both. Owen says morning. Tom says before. Before bed, I think. Paula says before bed, keeps the sheets clean longer. I agree. I might be wrong, says both, just in case. Just in case what? Just in case what? Steven says no, has to be first thing in the morning. It's very refreshing. Tom Park says shower in the morning with an emoji and bath before bed, which, yeah, fair enough. And the one that really made me laugh, which I've lost now, is Keith Wilkins, who said shower before I buy my toast. I think we need to call it a day there because I'm giddy at this point. I've not even had a drop of alcohol all day. I just don't know what's going on. Marcus says, Matt, I think the wife is shouting that the chicken burgers are burning. Someone's talking about...
I thought that was Mike's hair then.
Someone else, I'm not going to flash it. I'm not going to flash it up, but someone's made a joke about you being dirty in bed. So I think that's definitely time to end this podcast. Someone says, what is this turning into? And I agree. This podcast is a shambles at this point. One more. Leighton says, does Matt still have his weekly bath on a Sunday night just after Bullseye?
You know Bullseye?
I like Bullseye.
Yeah, if you hit the wire around the edge of a dartboard, does that class as hitting the bullseye down?
Is
that on target?
No.
Well, exactly.
Different game though. Different game.
Are we done?
We are done. The one thing that we wanted to mention just before we left, again, this is a nonsense point. For anyone thinking I was about to make a football point there before we finish this football podcast, is I said, we'll keep it fairly tight tonight. It's 8 o'clock. I'll have my tea. I'm going to takeaway tonight, but I've not decided what yet though. So if anyone very quickly before we go wants to suggest a takeaway for me, maybe I'll just take someone's suggestion. What's your favourite takeaway, Matt? Someone says, why can't you just answer these questions? We're talking about other stuff. We've done all the football stuff earlier.
What was the question? What's my favourite takeaway?
Yeah. What's your go-to? If you were having a takeaway tonight and I was paying, which I'm definitely not, what would you have?
I'll probably have an Indian, I think if you were paying.
I'm not paying.
But I think my wife, because my little one's back to school on Monday, and she says, "Oh, the little one's going back to school. We better make it. We better have Domino's on Sunday night." I'm thinking, she'll be going back to school every Monday soon. It's going to skint me. You know what I mean? So,
what's the correlation there?
I don't know. She thinks she wants to make a special occasion of a daughter going back to school. So anyway,
loads of comments coming through, and this has not helped the decision making at all. Because everyone, you've got Thai curry, KFC, Chinese, and Matt's chicken burgers all in a row. So if you want to deliver your chicken burgers, that'd be quite good. Someone says off-license Uber Eats to drown your sorrows, which I'm not even that annoyed about the game, to be fair. So I won't be going for that. Definitely time to get out of here, though, because this is all just absolute nonsense at this point. I can't believe that this is work, essentially. So for the last maybe 10 minutes of this podcast, we've just spoken absolute rubbish. also, having said all that, I'm very grateful for the people that continue to watch our stuff, because people could have lost us a long time ago, because we keep doing this every single week and people still keep coming back, which is lovely.
I've got a point of housekeeping before we go.
Okay.
Claret and Blue mugs. I'm actually going to go and collect them. They've been locked away in. That looks tiny. Looks like
I get it. It's not tiny. It's real. Hang on. Keep going.
They've been locked away in the office, in the storeroom in the office for the last year, and we've not been allowed anywhere in there, near there. And I asked permission of my boss, saying, "Can I go into the office to get the mugs?" And he said, "No, you're not allowed in. Your pass won't work. All the codes have been changed." I thought, is that just for me, or is that just generally a rule?
I will just say before the comments start piling in, if you do get one of these, don't put it in the dishwasher. Don't put it in the dishwasher, because the print comes off. So they are good mugs though. I remember when we first had these come through, which was, I don't know when that was now, obviously well over a year ago. And it's like, oh, they are really nice. Like, they are good quality, but definitely not for the dishwasher. And I will have a new one when you get them, please, because this one just lives on the shelf now. Thank you.
All right, you'll have to win a competition or something to get one. So.
I've got to leave a good comment or something.
That's it, yeah. I think the burgers are done anyway. So, yeah.
Thank you very much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed our little post-match chat for 5 minutes and then the nonsense for 35 minutes. As always, it's a pleasure, and we'll be back again on Friday night to hopefully talk about us beating Steve Bruce's Newcastle and putting the boot in there, because that'd be quite funny. So thank you very much, all. We'll be back soon. Up the Villa.
Shower in the morning.
I'm going to have a shower now. Thank you for listening to Claret and Blue, an Aston Villa podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please do let us know. We love hearing your feedback. We'll be back soon with another episode, but until then, up the Villa.